A major story is unfolding in Washington, D.C., involving the FBI and its investigation into the events of January 6, 2021. Special Counsel Jack Smith is leading the probe, which recently revealed it examined the phone records of several Republican senators. This revelation has sparked outrage among lawmakers and the public, raising questions about government overreach and privacy. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri calls it a serious abuse of power, while others argue it's standard procedure in a complex investigation. The controversy began when an FBI document showed a preliminary toll analysis of senators' phone numbers. The news has ignited a political firestorm, pitting Congress against the Department of Justice. At the heart of the debate, did the FBI cross a line by investigating elected officials from the opposition party? We'll break down what the FBI did, why Senator Hawley is furious, and how the government defends its actions. We'll also compare this to the Watergate scandal, another case of alleged government overreach. This isn't just about politics, it's about the balance of power and the trust Americans have in their institutions. As the story unfolds, the nation is left questioning the boundaries of government investigations, the stakes, the integrity of democracy, and the trust between citizens and their leaders. The controversy centers on the FBI's Arctic frost investigation, launched to examine efforts to overturn the 2020 election. As part of this probe, the FBI collected phone metadata, not call content, from at least 8 Republican senators and a congressman. The analysis included both official and personal phone numbers, raising concerns about targeting one political party. The information surfaced when Senator Chuck Grassley released an FBI document confirming the toll analysis. Critics say this is political weaponization. Supporters call it a thorough national security investigation. The Arctic frost probe was broad, reportedly examining 92 groups or individuals connected to the Republican Party, including organizations like Turning Point USA. The collection of senators' phone records is just one piece of a much larger investigation. This action has reignited debates about the separation of powers and the limits of executive authority. Was this a necessary step in a major criminal case, or an overreach into the legislative branch? The answer depends on your perspective and your trust in the system. For now, the FBI's actions remain under intense scrutiny. The political fallout is only beginning. The nation is watching closely. Senator Josh Hawley has emerged as a fierce critic of the FBI's actions. He accuses the Biden administration and Special Counsel Jack Smith of spying on political opponents, calling it an abuse of power beyond Watergate. Hawley likens the FBI's tactics to those of the Stasi, the notorious East German secret police, warning of a dangerous attack on the Constitution. He argues the investigation targets him for being a vocal conservative and critic of President Biden. For Hawley, this isn't just about January 6th. It's about punishing dissent and violating the separation of powers. He points to other examples of alleged government overreach, from surveillance of religious groups to actions against parents at school board meetings. Hawley's message: this is part of a larger pattern of intimidation and control. His supporters see the phone records probe as the latest and most alarming example. The senator's outrage is fueling calls for accountability and reform. The debate over government power is only intensifying. Critics like Senator Hawley argue the phone records probe fits a broader pattern of government overreach. They cite alleged surveillance of religious groups, harsh prosecution of pro-life activists, and federal scrutiny of parents at school board meetings. These actions, they say, reveal a government using its power to pursue a political agenda and silence dissent. Concerns about government pressure on social media companies add to the picture of systematic control. For many, these events suggest the FBI's investigation is just the latest chapter in a troubling story. The result: growing distrust in government and fears about the erosion of civil liberties. The controversy is about more than one investigation. It's about the future of free speech and political opposition. To understand the debate, it's crucial to know what toll analysis means. Toll analysis examines phone call metadata, who called whom, when, and for how long, not the content of the calls. Think of it as looking at the outside of an envelope, not reading the letter inside. This technique helps investigators map communication patterns and connections. Unlike wiretapping, which requires a warrant and captures actual conversations, toll analysis usually only needs a subpoena. Courts have ruled that people have less privacy in call metadata since it's shared with phone companies. Law enforcement often uses toll analysis in complex cases, but applying it to sitting members of Congress is highly controversial. Critics say it's a dangerous precedent. Supporters call it a standard tool. The distinction between metadata and content is key to the legal and political debate. The controversy isn't about what was said, but about who was talking, and why the government wanted to know. In this case, the stakes are higher because lawmakers themselves were under scrutiny. That's why the issue has become so politically charged. The Department of Justice and FBI defend their actions as necessary steps in a massive, unprecedented investigation. They stress that only call metadata was reviewed, no conversations were recorded or listened to. Investigators argue that mapping communications is a routine, preliminary step in complex cases. They insist no one, not even senators, is above the law if there's reason to believe they have relevant information. Treating lawmakers differently, they say, would undermine equal justice. Supporters argue the investigation isn't about targeting political opponents, but about following evidence in a national crisis. The focus, they claim, is on actions related to January 6th, not party affiliation. The government maintains it's simply doing its job, investigating a serious threat to democracy. The debate: is this justice or political overreach? Critics, including Senators Hawley and Grassley, compare the FBI's actions to Watergate. Some even say it's worse. Watergate involved illegal break-ins and wiretapping by Nixon's campaign, followed by a cover-up that led to his resignation. The heart of Watergate: abuse of power for political gain. Hawley argues that using the FBI to sweep up senators' phone records is an even greater threat to democracy. But there are key differences. Watergate was clearly illegal, while the FBI used legal tools like subpoenas for toll records. The government insists its actions were part of a legitimate investigation, not a political operation. Whether this is worse than Watergate depends on your perspective and your trust in the system. For some, it's a weaponization of government. For others, it's a necessary response to an unprecedented crisis. The comparison fuels the controversy and shapes public opinion. The legacy of Watergate looms large over today's debate. The fallout has been swift. Lawmakers are demanding investigations into the FBI's actions. Some want a new special counsel to probe the investigators themselves, arguing the Justice Department can't police its own. There are calls for new laws to protect lawmakers' communications, possibly requiring a warrant for such records. Congressional hearings are likely, with officials testifying under oath about who authorized the probe. The controversy is set to dominate headlines and political debate for months. The outcome could reshape the rules for government investigations and the balance of power in Washington. The stakes are high for both the justice system and American democracy. The nation waits for answers. This story exposes a deep divide in how Americans view government power and justice. One side sees a dangerous abuse of power, an executive branch using the FBI to intimidate political opponents. They fear a chilling effect on dissent and a threat to the separation of powers. The other side sees a necessary legal investigation into an unprecedented attack on democracy. For them, reviewing call logs, not listening to calls, was a standard step in holding people accountable. The real danger, they argue, was the attempt to overturn the election, not the investigation itself. The fundamental disagreement: is this a defense of democracy or an attack on it? The controversy is more than a political fight. It's about trust, power, and the meaning of justice. As new details emerge, the debate will shape how Americans view their government for years to come. The story of the senators' phone records is far from over.